Ja, lieber Herr Jensen, dear Mr. Jensen, dear friends from the Danish Verein, thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you that you come back from the lunch break. You know, it's the attraction is there, and you come back. So now for me, it's a challenge to speak now. It's the biological gap when everybody after the lunch wants sleep. You know, so I would try to keep you away from sleep for some 15 minutes. And I will be glad if you then would start a discussion with me. I am very happy that you invited me to Folkefest for Frihet, because you didn't mention it, but I emigrated with 16 from the communist Czechoslovakia to Germany, and the motto of my life is the fight for Freiheit, for Frihet, and it's even the motto on my website. So I feel very connected to you and to this event today. I was asked to speak about the European dimension of the migrant crisis. I will do it very briefly. I would like to pick up 3 points. I will speak about the current situation, especially in Germany. I would like to talk about the differences between the Eastern Middle European countries and the Western European countries, how they are handling the crisis. And third, of course, we should look all together for the solutions of this crisis. So the first point, how did it started and what are we now experiencing today? For us, for Germans, the point of no return was summer 2015, and we are calling it when Angela Merkel did open the borders. And allow me, I come with my wife to Copenhagen already at Friday, and we enjoyed the town. It's really very nice town, and we saw that this is the Midsommerfest, and we were told that Midsummer is also the Hexenverbrennung, the traditional burning of the wishes. So maybe you should invite Angela Merkel these days. And we would have some problems less, But still, we experienced this opening of the borders, and some quite 2 million of migrants come without any controls to Europe. And what we experienced in the weeks, months and years after was rising a crime, and especially terrorist attacks in Paris, in France, in Belgium, in Germany, in the heart of the German capital, in Berlin. 12 people were killed by Islamic terrorists who come in this migration wave to Europe. So this is the situation today. And imagine what is happening here. As I emigrated 30 years ago from Czechoslovakia to the Western Europe, I couldn't imagine that if I would like to meet people like you, everybody friendly people, middle in the countryside of Denmark, that we will be checked by security checkings, like a terrorist. But we are not the terrorists. The terrorists are outside, this is the point. So what we are facing is, and this is the motto of this event, we are losing our freedom. And what we are fighting is not against the people who are coming in, but we are fighting for our freedom. What my colleague already mentioned is, of course, we are facing a massive Islamization of Europe, because the most migrants who come from the Far East are Muslims. Of course, this is a problem, because Islam as a religion, we always say that the religion is free for anybody. If it's taken like we Europeans take religion, that it's something private, you are free to be Buddhist, Islam, whatever. But the problem with Islam is that it's connected with the ideology, with the Sharia. And there we are saying clear, this is not compatible with our European heritage, and this is not compatible with our European way of life. I was asked how the migration crisis started. And we have to see that there are geostrategical reasons, and especially the negative role played the USA. I have to admit it. In spite of I like the USA, for me, USA were a very long time the country of freedom, but the foreign policy of the United States of the last year played a very critical role, because if you imagine what happened in the years before 2015 and the promises of the Arabic Spring, you know, especially from somebody who is coming from Czechoslovakia, the Arabic Spring, this is an association with the Prague Spring, you know, and then you think, oh, poets like Václav Havel will be presidents in those countries and everything will be fine, we will get democracy there. And the opposite happened. You know, in no one of those countries where we were promised that they will become democracy, either Tunisia or Egypt, you know, or even Libya, is not democratic. The opposite happened. The countries are destroyed. In Egypt there is a military dictatorship now. Libya is completely destroyed. There is no peace in the country. And the mechanism that used to work in the years before, they are completely destroyed. Libya, for example, had a bilateral treaty with Italy and also a treaty with the European Union to stop migrants on the southern border of Libya. And it took us a really low range of money. The Italians were paying something, they were sending some troops and some equipment to the European Union too, but it was not a really expensive deal, but the migrants were kept out of Libya. Now, they are coming all from Africa through Libya to Europe, to Italy. And we see this as a very critical point in the foreign policy. And the second point is what is happening every day, that NGOs paid by Soros Foundation and others are driving with ships in the Mediterranean and breaking the law. They are taking the migrants from the international sea or even from the Libyan coast, just a few miles from the Libyan coast, and shuttling them, transporting them to Europe. So of course this is clear, this has to be stopped. We are going to stop this illegal migration, and I'm very proud that the new Italian government said, okay, this will be stopped finally in the next weeks. And dear friends, I don't know how is it in Denmark, but in Germany we have a very big problem with public, especially public media, but also with the private media, because in an independent survey which was done by the Journalists Association, about 80% of the journalists admitted that they are voting for left-wing parties. So if you have 80% of journalists left, you have a hard life if you are right. Yeah, and this is just the bottom line. You know, we are facing a massive, really massive media war against all the parties which are middle or which are right, and we are described as extremists and far right, and I don't know why. Very often when I am reading articles about myself, I cannot believe it that it should be myself. You know, yeah, I'm always looking like, who is this person? It doesn't fit to the reality, but it is the media reality nowadays, and I am speaking about that because this is really the most important point, and you are seeing it also on the topic because the US president, Mr. Trump, is also taking this topic very often. He is calling the media fake news. And the media, they hate it, you know. I know it because we are telling them also they are fake news, and they, no, we are not fake news, and we have a German expression, Lügenpresse, yeah, and they hate it too, you know. So, no, we are not lying, you know. And we say, okay, maybe you don't lie always, but sometimes you just forget to say something, you know. And it's enough, yeah? And sometimes you turn the truth from different angle. And just imagine what is happening very often if the migrants are displaced. We are facing always emotional pictures. It's just 2 days old. The problems from the US, from the border, from the Mexican-US border. What picture have you seen? A small child with the big eyes, you know, crying. And then the leftists ask, do you want this child cry? Of course everybody says, no, I don't want. You know, this is emotion. And we are always arguing on a rational way and saying, hey, this child has parents. And the parents know that they are going illegally somewhere across the border. They could stay in their own country. They don't have to cross a border illegally, but they do it. They are responsible for the child, not us. We as German politicians, and you as Danish politicians, we are responsible for our country. We are responsible for Europe. We are responsible for you, for our people, and we take care for our people. This is our job. What we are also facing is, and I think this is not an accident, this is by purpose, always mixing the question of political asylum, helping refugees, real refugees, and mass migration. In Germany, all the migrants, there are 98% of all the people are migrants, but they are called Flüchtlinge. Yeah? It starts with the words, and this is a typical leftist strategy. This is Frankfurter Schule, you know, 1968. Just this is a fight about the expressions and a perversion of the expressions. Because if you have migrants, economical migrants, and you call them political refugees, you know, you turn it vice versa. Because nobody in Germany is against helping political refugees, you know. The Germans, they have really a big heart. They showed it several times in the history. They helped a lot of people now after 1945 who come from the East. They helped the Hungarian people 1956. They helped the Czechoslovakian people 1968. They took hundreds from people from Yugoslavia in the 90s. Thousands, yeah. So the Germans, they really like to help, and they help. But what is happening now? This is not a migration of people who are politically persecuted. It's a clear economical migration, and I can show you. No, it's a very easy example, because if you are coming from Syria or from Iraq, and you are saying you are persecuted in political way, you fear, you're running for your life, then you are in security when you are in Turkey. You don't need to go further, 3,500 kilometers, crossing 7 borders, you know, being in countries where you and me are doing holidays, like Croatia or Austria. But they are doing that, and they don't stay in Croatia, they don't stay in Austria. Why? The countries are safe, they are even nice, you know. No. They're going to Germany or to Sweden because of the level of the payments of the social security. And this is a clear proof of the fact that they are economic migrants and not political refugees. So we have to very clearly make a border between those two groups and separate those two groups and handle they in different way. What we are experiencing instead is the narrative, especially of Angela Merkel and of the current German government, which are who are you understand it, you know. Maybe it is even not anymore, I don't know. I'm not so up to date, so but still the German government under Angela Merkel is saying we need a European solution. This is the big headline, European solution. And then the second one, and it sounds like in socialism 30 years ago, we need solidarity, Solidarität. And again, what they mean is Zwangsverteilung, so enforced distribution of migrants across Europe. How pervert is this? You know, if you say, yeah. And I mean, we are true Europeans, and we have a European community. And I say by purpose, not European Union, you know, because the European Union is something very political and it's connected to Brussels. But the people of Europe, they get together to a European community because we have common values, we have common history, and we said, okay, we are going to live together in this on this continent with those people. And I cannot imagine what will say the Spanish with 50% unemployment with the young people, or the Italian with 40% unemployment of the young people, if some Angela Merkel will say, okay, I will send you some migrants, some Muslim migrants into the Catholic Spain, and I will call it solidarity, okay? So this is the perversion of the European idea. And I say it again and again, since 2 years, Angela Merkel is destroying Europe. And Mr. Jensen said it at the beginning. I was hated by the media, by the leftists for saying this, you know. And yesterday, the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung had a headline: Angela Merkel spaltet Europa. So, so we are winning. We are winning. So of course, the same thing is with more integration. Sorry. This is not our duty to integrate somebody into our community. You know, I can say it on my own history. You know, when we flow from the Czechoslovakia, from the communist regime, we flow to the nearest country, to Bavaria. So I crossed just one border, and then we were safe. You know, so I didn't continue to 3,500 kilometers or to Iceland. So we stayed in the first country, and what we have done was we said, okay, we want to live here in this country. So what have we to do? At first, learn the language, and then second, look for a job. You know, just to integrate into the society. So this is not the duty of the society. It's not the duty of the state to say, oh, I take care for you and I will try. You know, so every migrant has the duty to try to integrate himself into the society and not into the opposite mechanism. But what I experienced 30 years ago was state which kept us in a dependence of the state, who was enforcing us to receive the money, who was forbidding us to work. And I didn't understand it, you know. Those days I was just, this is crazy, you know. Outside are driving German people in the cars and saying, fucking asylants, you know, yeah, they are living from our money. We didn't want the money, but the government was enforcing us to stay in this Asylantenheim and so on. Now I understand. This is a big business. This is a big business because one migrant costs 35,000 euro a year, and this is just the lowest rate. You know, if he says he is just under 18, and they are doing it often, you know, saying they are under 18, it costs up to 60 or 85,000 euro a year. And from this money, just a very slow part, a little part is the migrants are receiving, you know, directly as a cash. The most money goes to the companies who are building the refugee camps, who are running the refugee camps, who are delivering the food, who are delivering the clothes, who are keeping. So the biggest company, the biggest organization which gives work in Germany is Catholic Caritas. And I have nothing against Catholic Caritas. It's also the Arbeiterwohlfahrt, which is connected to the socialists. So this is a, for them it's a win-win. It's doesn't matter who is on the power, if the socialists or the Christian Democrats. They are spreading the taxpayers' money to organizations which are connected to them. And that's the reason why the people are waiting for a year for the decision, if they for the asylum decision, and so on and so on. So if we want to change this system, we have to establish very fast decisions on the borders. Yes, will you come in, or no, you don't come in. Like the Swiss. The Swiss, they are able to do it in 48 hours, and the Swiss are not famous for to be quick, So if the Swiss can do it, we can do it too. Now I was asked, how does it come then the Eastern European countries have so different position in the migrant crisis than the Western European? And the Western European politicians, they treat them very in a very arrogant way. Even the European Commission is saying, "Oh, they are not the true Europeans," and stuff like this. And I think the opposite is true. We as AfD, Alternative für Deutschland, we have the most sympathizers, voters in the eastern part of Germany. And the explanation is the same why the eastern countries are so very critical against the migration policy. The reason is very simple. The people in socialism, they experience already one time that there was a official truth spread by the official media explaining some virtual reality. But the normal life was different. They know it. At those days it was like, yes, we fulfilled the 5th-year plan for 104%, everything is great, And the next day you went to a shop and the toilet paper was old. So there is something not really 100%, And now it's like saying, "Oh, we saved Greece. Everything is fine in Greece, and we saved our currency. Euro is a really great currency. We don't have any problems, And in your real life, you just looking. Oh, this is we are saving Greece for 8 years, and the people in Greece are still poor. The only thing which was saved are the foreign banks." Which were engaged there, but not the Greece people, and it's the same with the currency. So the people from Eastern Europe, they have really a good feeling for it if the officials are lying to them, and it's the same with the migrant crisis. So when the governments, especially the foreign governments, are saying, "Yeah, we need the migrants," they say, "Why? we don't need them, we don't want them even, So. Why should we take them, And especially they can also say, and they don't want to come to our country, so Angela Merkel, please keep them, You invited them, it's your party, so enjoy, And the most funny thing is that Angela Merkel didn't recognize with this narrative, with the European solution, that she is already alone. And I can say it because we did a banner for Facebook 2 days ago, which is showing a map, and all the countries at the map are already blue, and just there is an island in the middle. This is a red Germany, and we are saying all the countries are closing their borders. The only person who didn't got it is Angela Merkel, And this banner was shared by 200,000 people in 2 days. So this is fantastic, and the people they see it now. and it's changing even in Western Europe. So the Eastern European countries like Hungary, Poland, Czech Republic, but now even Austria become a blue government, you know, and I am very happy that Italians become this government which they become, because all those countries are saying, stop this crazy politics, let us make Europe strong again, Trump would say, and especially defend the outer borders of the European community. So what are the solutions? I have just a few points. I think it's really easy, and I don't understand the politicians who are always saying, oh, it's so complicated, you know, we cannot control the borders of Greece because there are so many islands and so many water around it, you know. And Australia had the same problem a couple of years ago, you know, and the Australians, they just said, we would like to stay sovereign. Also a very important word, sovereignty, you know. And they said Australia should stay sovereign, and they did just two things. They paid a advertising campaign in the countries from which the migrants come, and they said, no way. You can't stay in Australia if you come illegally. And what did the people? They didn't believe, because it's advertising. You know, so they paid $5,000-6,000 to some schlepper, you know, and they went to Australia. And then come the second measure. The Australians bought some rubber boats, gummiboote, with the electronic and steering, and they said, people, we told you, here is the advertisement. No way, you can stay. They put them in the boat and they send them back from where they come. And what happened was the same what happened 2015 when the migrants come to Germany. And Chancellor Merkel was greeting them, and people were saying hello. It's nice to hear. So they made a picture with their mobile phones, and they sent it to their home countries, and they shared it on Facebook, and everybody there was thinking, oh, we can come to Germany. So, but they did the same in Australia. They said, oh, we can stay here. I paid $5,000 for a one-day trip to Australia, and I am back, you know. So it was very fast. The information was spreading also very fast that it doesn't work. And Australia is now not facing this problem anymore. So this is the first thing we have to do. We have to control our borders. And the second thing is the migrants which will come, which are coming to the borders and are not political refugees, we have to send them back to the countries from where they are coming. This is really very simple. The second thing is, and this is especially directed to Sweden and to Germany, I said it already, those people are here because of the social, of the level of the social standard they are receiving here. They are not staying in Croatia or in Slovakia or even not in Austria. So we have to lower the level of the social payments on the European minimum. It's the same like in Romania. So that the attraction will be lower to come to Sweden or to Germany or even to Denmark. And that would be the first step for them to go back to their countries, you know. And then, of course, the third step should be that we will enforce them to go back to their countries. And we from Alternative from Germany, my colleagues, they visit Syria, and they have been heavily criticized by our government and by the media that they are going to Syria and talking to the people, talking to the government, and making pictures and spreading it via Facebook. Why? Because we experience situations that political refugees who already received asylum in Germany from Syria, who said they are politically persecuted in the country, so they cannot go back, because they would be killed by the bad Assad. They did holidays in Syria with a travel agency. So we said, okay, there is something wrong, maybe there are still fights, on local fights, but not in the whole country. And then even official informations come that there are already some 300,000 migrants inside of Syria who come back to their homes because they are safe already. There were another 400,000 from Turkey coming back to Syria because there were no more fights in their countryside. So we said, okay, we would like to check the situation. So we went to Syria, we talked to the people, and they said, listen, the war is quite over, and please send us back those young, strong men who are in Germany, because we will need them for rebuild our own country. So this is the real humanistic approach, and this is the real help for those countries. If we say, okay, those guys from Syria should go back to their home country and help to build them up. And the last point, and thank you very much to Mr. Espersen for what you said before. It's because we have also do legal steps, and this is our job as politicians, to start the remigration, and we have to reverse the current policy, And of course, one step is to be very hard in giving our citizenships to people coming from abroad. And you said even that you are allowed in Denmark to take the citizenships away from the people, which we are not allowed in Germany. I know that the laws are forbidding this because of the history, because of the Nazi time. So this wouldn't be possible in Germany, but you have the possibility, so do it, And we have to be much more restrictive with giving our passports to foreign people. And of course, we have to make a differentiation between political refugees and economic migrants. And we have, and this is really the most important thing, we have to fight the fight of the words. We have to fight with the media. We have to fight about the narratives. We have to show that we have the truth, not them. We are not the bad guys. We are the good guys. They are the bad guys, So we are the true Europeans. We want a European solution. We want a strong Europe. Mr. Jensen, thank you that you said this is a world premiere here, that it's the first time an AFD politician is speaking in Scandinavia. This is just the beginning of a very beautiful friendship, I can promise you, because we are already planning a strong cooperation in the European Parliament after the next elections. And I think this is what we have to do. It's to establish a strong group of all parties, of all political parties from across Europe, who have the same position to the migrant question, the true European, the true European. And we have also a very, very nice and very strong support. I don't know, because I don't know if you recognize it, but the new ambassador of the United States in Germany, a few days ago, he said he wants to support the conservative revolution. And this is a very strong sign for all patriots across Europe. We have the patriots in the United States, and they are strong, that they are winning. They are fighting the fake news, they are fighting the fake media, and they are fighting the NGOs. So we will win also this fight here in Europe, and this will be Europe of patriotic parties, and this will be a strong group in the European Parliament. And just allow me just last word, because we are very often asked as the AfD, because we are a German party and Germany is a big country, and we will get a high number of members in the European Parliament. So everybody is saying, yeah, you have to lead this group. And I have to say, you know, what you are doing, you are much more longer fighting this fight. And you are so far ahead of us. So you are the light for Europe. And what we can do is we will build a lighthouse and keep you above. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would like to take this in German, but I can't.
But I can translate into Danish. Sorry.
Do you still reside in Bavaria? Do you still live in Bavaria?
Yeah,
you do.
You know, the parliament, unfortunately, is in Berlin,
Yeah.
so I have to spend some time in Berlin too.
Yeah, okay.
But I am living. My wife is living in Munich, and I am traveling.
Because my question relates to the situation in Bavaria.
Yeah.
Because it seems that you are going to grab somewhere between 15 and 17 percent point of the votes in the coming election.
Yeah.
And Mr. Seehofer is going to have quite a problem. How do you think he'll respond to that? Do you think he'll try to do what Merkel has done on a federal level to build a große Koalition, or will he bite the head of all shame and go into a cooperation with the AfD? What do you what is your estimate of that? What do you think?
The point is, we are in the main questions, and this is really funny, on migration and so on. We are very close to the Bavarian leading party, the CSU, the Conservatives, you know. So there are not really big differences. So if they would behave normally, we must have a coalition already now in the Bundestag, because there are the liberals, we are there, and the so-called conservatives, you know, but they are not. And so they would never do a coalition with us now. This is the one point. The second point is we would never do a coalition with them now, you know, because we said they did all the mess, they are responsible for all the mess. Why should we now, you know, help them to scratch it from the bottom? And I think this is really a very dangerous point for the whole Europe, because we will experience a massive crash. And this is for sure. You know, the currency is nothing worth, even not the papers which are the bills printed on. So the whole European financial system will collapse soon. You know, we are living in a bubble, and this will cause such a critical situation. And I have real sorrows that it will happen in a situation when already some right-wing parties will be on charge in governments, and the system, the old parties, which caused the problems, they will say, you see, when we were on power, everything was fine. But now when the bad populists come to power, oh, it crashed. You know, so I would be very restrictive with going into the government now and say, let's solve the problems you have done. We are pushing from the opposition already very effectively, you know, so we can change a lot of things from the opposition.
So effectively, you are going to let them stew in their own fat.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm Carsten from Denmark, and in your speech you said something about the Catholic community helping refugees. In Denmark, it's the Red Cross who take care of the refugees. I think we have very good hospitals in Denmark. It's run by the state. We have very good, we have, I don't know, but we have jails in Denmark that is run by the state, and the police is run by the state, and so on. I think the housing of the refugees should not be run by the Red Cross. It should be run by the state. That was question number one. What do you think about it? Question number two is I've heard that in Berlin a lady teacher, she cannot wear a scarf. And if you wear a scarf every day, a teacher wears a scarf every day, I think she can indoctrinate the children and affect the children to think in an Islamic way. I think it should be forbidden for a teacher to wear different religious symbols. Yes, what do you think about it? It's not. It is forbidden in Berlin. I hear. What do you think about it? Thank you very much.
Yeah. I'm not sure how the current situation is. Generally, we are laicistic state, and it's forbidden to show expressively all religious, kind of clothes and so on. So I can imagine that this is really forbidden in a school, but not sure. But the first question is, I think, more interesting for all of us. I am against it. I really hard in opposition to your opinion. I don't think that the state should be finance the migrant camps, and I tell you why. If the church says, they are all the time claiming like, we have to help those poor people, and we are doing it from heart because this is our Christian approach. And they are, at the same time, they are the biggest owner of properties. Then I say, okay, do it. If you say it's your job, then do it for free. But don't ask the state for the taxpayers' money, And then it would be very, very, very fast solution, because the Catholic Church, would say, this is not such a good business anymore, So either you are honest and you are helping, because you want to help, and this is also a perversion, because many of the people who are working in the church organizations, they are really serving, sometimes even for free, voluntary. They are really giving from their heart, but the organization above is cashing, and this shouldn't happen. Okay, so no more question. Round for beer. Thank you very much.